Hello lovelies, welcome to the channel. Yes, as the title states, I have a new scrapbook layout at long last for you. So this is a picture of my boys trick-or-treating. And I'm going for a purple and black Halloween layout look because I'm on the Colour Blast design team, I may have mentioned before, and my post for last week, which happened to be on the day of Halloween, was also a Halloween picture of my boys that I'd taken, and that was very orange and black. This layout has similar aspects of that, but I wanted to post one on my channel just to show you how I did it and basically just have a bit of a play. Now, yes, they're both Halloween layouts. I'm more of a Christmas holiday kind of person. I love Christmas, as evident by my November and Christmas in July videos that I tend to do. But what I am enjoying is scrapbooking current photos of my boys. These pictures were taken just last week, so that is why I'm enjoying it. I'm not scrapping photos from 6 months ago. I'm scrapping current photos, which is the most enjoyable part of this process for me. So while yes, it is a Halloween layout, it is also probably one of the most recent pictures I've printed, so that was exciting. So all I did to start is I wet my background with a spritz of water first, because I like to apply inks wet on wet. And what that means is I apply them to a wet base first, just so that they'll flow and move. Now, if I was to spray these inks directly on the page, they would soak into the page, and I'd get that lovely little spray paint look. But because the page is wet, what's actually happening is the ink is moving. So it's interacting with the water and it's freely flowing on my page, and that's what I wanted. So I spritzed some of the Colour Blast Indigo and a little bit of the black, only a little bit, because if you add too much, which I have done in the past, it just overtakes the whole thing. And I just wanted little pops of black. And then I was liking it, but I wanted them to merge more. So I got a 12 by 12 plastic Ziploc bag, smushed it on my page, and then it blended everything together beautifully, so it was a lot of fun. So it's just like a giant packaging technique where I just applied my ink to my background first. Then I dried that off because I really wanted to get some nice crisp splatters, and if I had have used those splatters while the ink was still wet, they just would have bled into the colours. Like I was saying, wet on wet for blending, and then wet on dry if you want a nice crisp image. So yeah, I made sure I dried that off really well. So now I'm going to work out what I'm going to do with my photo. Now, I love using cheesecloth on my layouts, especially my boyish layouts. It just, one, it gives me another layer of texture. Two, it gives me something to add colour to. As you can see here, I'm using some of that road-based Colour Blast spray, and that's dyeing it black. And I've got this cool little mini Project Life box thingy that I used, well, I haven't in a long time, but I found it when we were moving, and it's perfect because I tend to make a really big mess when I use ink, as you can see by my desk and my drop sheet behind me. And if I had have attempted to dye this just on my desk, it would have gotten everywhere. So having that little box to contain my mist was a really good addition. So then I've just slathered down some wet glue, because I found just by using double-sided tape, which is what I have on the back of my photo on some foam, wouldn't have held this very well. So I've applied wet glue, put the pieces of cheesecloth down first, then put my photo over the top. Now, as I'm doing this, and you can't quite see it, I am still working on perfecting my recording tripod, and I'm just a little bit out of frame. But down the bottom, I had a little piece of cheesecloth left, so I've just decided to do a little tiny cluster in the bottom corner, just to sort of ground my little floating cluster in the middle there. Just something a little extra. And all I did for that was I stapled it. Nice and simple. I used my tiny attacher and just stapled that down. So as I was doing this, my son was in my art room and he was looking at these stickers that were on my shelf, and he goes, "Mummy, this says trick or treat." I'm like, "Yeah, it does." He goes, "Can I take it in my room?" Because he loves stickers. I'm like, "Actually, why don't you bring them over to Mum and I'll use them on this layout?" And then I went and grabbed the rest of this collection because I like to keep my collections together. So if I have sticker sheets, ephemera, papers, they tend to go in a 12 by 12 bag in my cupboard, so I have everything together. And this is an old Doodlebug collection. It's actually a mix of last year's and this year's Halloween collections. I'm not even sure if it was last year's. It may have been the year before. Booville and then Pumpkin Party, I think, was this year's. I got the Chit Chat from this year's collection because that's really cool. And I got some random papers. So I just keep both of them together because I'm only going to do a Halloween layout once a year. Actually, this is like the second one I've done this year. So there you go. I've done 2 Halloween layouts this year. And yeah, so I tend to keep them. I'll use them over the next coming few years when I do Halloween layouts. But just going through, I was looking for the Trick or Treat, which it says is in the ephemera pack, but I must have used it last year because it wasn't in here. So I pulled out a few things I might like. This year my boys, Will especially, my youngest, went a little more Halloween-y than usual. Usually we just do costumes. Any kind of costume they like, but this year he saw this knife headband that goes through your head, and he just wanted it. He had to have it for Halloween. $5 and some fake blood later, and he was done. It was like the cheapest Halloween ever. And then Koopy, who's my beautiful big boy there, found this awesome dinosaur cape at Kmart, and he was in love with it, so that's what he decided to wear. It's this little Triceratops hood with a cape over his shoulders. He was absolutely loved it, so couldn't say no to that one. And that was my boys for Halloween this year. It was probably the most simplest and cheapest costumes they've ever had, but because they were more, Will especially was more Halloween-y, I thought I could use some of these little ephemera pieces of the trick-or-treaters, hence why Frankenstein was out, but he didn't work. In the end, I've got this little pirate dude, and yeah, I figure it works for a trick-or-treat layout. I messed around so long with these embellishments. I just couldn't make it work. It wasn't working for me. I pulled out some of these spiders as well. Now, usually we don't do scary Halloween. We do fun candy Halloween. But with Will's costume, and I thought, I could use the spiders. So I did. I just slapped them on there. The purple and black stars, because obviously the colours of the layout are purple and black. I was a little worried about my colour choice considering the photo and their costumes. But to me, Halloween is black, orange, purple with a bit of green sometimes. So I figured this purple and black would work quite well. And yeah, I don't mind it at all, actually. In the end, I go with the multicoloured Halloween. Now, I was a bit worried because it brought in colours that I wasn't really using, but like the orange. But then I figured with the trick or treat pumpkin thingy, it worked. So I go with the Halloween. I've put some foam behind it so it's in line with my photo. So I've popped up the bottom half and glued the rest of it just to give it some dimension. And then on the sticker sheet, I found a few of these wrapped up lollies, sweets, candy, whatever you want to call them. Cooper has a lovely little American dialect thanks to one of his autistic quirks, so he has an American accent, so he says candy. And yeah, I've used that, and I also found a trick-or-treat pumpkin as well, and I thought that went well with my layout. So I just used them around my title to give me some little clusters, and then just drew a squiggly border around. Messier the better. When I do these borders, I don't tend to go for perfect, so it doesn't bother me that I have really messed up that top line. But apart from that, that's going to be it for my layout. So I do hope you've enjoyed my scrapbooking layout, and I will be back in a few days with something new. Bye for now.